Mother's Day is coming around the corner and I thought it'd be perfect time to make a flower arrangement to give to my mom. So most of these flowers are foraged, and I do have some store-bought in here as well, but the main idea is to go look in your garden and find some beautiful flowers that you can put a bouquet together with. So for this arrangement I will be using foam. So before we start, I want to make sure my foam is nice and soaked with water. So I'm going to take a container of water. For this flower arrangement, I will be working with this shallow, small vase or vase today, so I will need a specific size of foam. I've got some tall cylinders here, and then I've got some round ones. So I'm going to be using the round ones. And you don't have to use the foam, all of the foam. You can take a knife and just cut the edges, but before we do that, I'm just going to soak it in water completely, and do not push it into the water. Let it absorb on its own, and when it's completely absorbed, then you can pull it out and start on your flower arrangement. Make sure you do not push it into the water because you don't want any air bubbles in there. So while my foam is soaking, I'm just going to arrange my flowers so they're easier to reach. So I've got some irises here. I'm just going to sneak them into this cup of water here. And I've got some fern. I'm just going to organize so it's easier to pick out what leaves and greenery I want to play with. And then set that here. I've got some wispy branches that will be perfect for the edges. They're just going to flare out really nice. And then I've got a ton of greenery back there. And if I do run out of focal flowers, I have some filler flowers and some tulips here and some callas that I can use, so I have lots of options to work with. And I love these branches. They're just very flexible, and you can have so much movement in your arrangement when the flowers are not stiff. Okay, so I think I'm good, and these are going to be my base flowers. So my foam looks nice and soaked. I'm just going to flip it over to the other side to make sure it's evenly absorbed. It's a little big for my container, so I'm just going to trim the edges just slightly. And as you can see here, it's just good enough for it to fit into the container, and the height gives it lots of volume. So that's exactly what we want, and don't worry about it sticking out. It's going to be covered with flowers. So to make sure it's nice and secured, I'm going to actually tape it down. So here I have some floral tape, and make sure it's waterproof just because we are going to be pouring some water into the container, and we don't want anything to slip and slide. Now that my foam is nicely secured, I'm going to start by inserting the leafy greens, and I'm just going to start from the edges just so I can cover up the green foam and the tape. And also make sure once you stick this in, you don't pull it back out, just because it's not going to be as strong as that again. If you do have to pull it out, make sure you snip it and then put it back into a different section. So I'm going to sneak that in on the side, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And if you feel like this may be too long, you can just pinch off some leaves, because you want the stick part. You don't want any leaves going into the foam. You just want. I'm actually going to snip that a little bit to make it a little bit shorter. Pinch some more leaves. Here. I really like this branch here. It's kind of whimsical, so I'm going to pinch off these leaves because I don't actually need it to be that long. snip some off. And I'll just kind of add it in the center because I don't mind if it actually sticks out. Like so. And I'm going to keep going with my leaves. It doesn't have to be perfect. We want it to be romantic and carefree and kind of with a mind of its own. You don't really see flowers that... I'm actually going to rip all of these leaves off. You don't see flowers growing symmetrically. They kind of always have a mind of their own. I really like this branch here. It's got a lot of movement to it, so I'm just going to add that. Let's see. I have another one of those tall branches. I'm gonna add that in the center as well. Looks good. Actually, I might trim that a little more. Make sure you don't use the same hole. Perfect. And you don't have to throw away these small ones. You can always use them in the front just to add a little bit more volume to the plant. And make sure you don't have these tails. You want to snip that off so it's a clean, nice stem. See how it's shaping now? It's got a lot of movement to it. I'm gonna add some more over here. I'm gonna add another fern on this side. Fern, not fern, not firm. You just need to step back and take a look at it. Now that I'm pretty happy with the way everything looks, it looks nice and flowy and just kind of whimsical. Especially these branches, they look amazing. They just add the perfect touch. But I need to add a little bit more accents because as you can see, I barely have any color in here. And I have these really pretty irises. They're a nice purple color. And you can hold the base of the vase to help you push in the flowers a little bit easier. And see these buds? You don't have to throw those away. They add a nice texture. So I'm just going to stick that at the very top. Add some more purples in here. And I'm pretty happy with how that looks. But I want to add a little bit more flowers, so I actually have some purple tulips that I think will add a nice touch. I'm not going to use too many of these, just maybe 3. As you can see, they're very long, so, and my bouquet isn't that long, so I'm just going to snip it right there. So I've got these roses over here. And if there are some petals that are kind of dying, just break them off. There's some petals over here that just don't look so good anymore. Maybe the bugs had a lunch. So I'm just going to fill the gaps at the very top. So when I go to pick this up, it holds pretty well just because I taped the foam down really well from each side. Because the foam is absorbed really well with water, it's kind of like a brick that holds everything together. So yeah, this is what my final piece for Mother's Day looks like, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and I'll see you guys later.